Hey, what's up, guys? And this is Jamathan here, and I am bringing you Maps and Strategies Volume 5. And we're bringing you a new topic today on maps that we struggle on and some advanced tactics. It's about time, we've covered mostly every map, and now I feel like we need to get into a little deeper so that we can address some of the things that we struggle against some of the squads around our level or higher, and also what we can do to be better. So I'm guessing this will probably be around 30 to 40 minutes just because I'm going to be covering things in depth, and I kind of wrote a list down so it hopefully will help. So first thing off is just I wrote a quick thing here. Some of the core concepts I feel like we have to work on is maintaining top priority map goals on each map, get better at pushing the battle lines, managing our mech out, and learning how to continue to pair up, at least in pairs, team up in pairs, maybe more, but usually a duo is pretty good on a map. Techniques I feel like we need to work on, I just called it triple A because it happened to be all A's, is learning how to attack elsewhere to stretch out the defense. This is an application of our push and pull concept where if the enemy's so honed in on an area, how can we attack a flank beacon or a far back beacon to kind of take pressure off? So center can open up, or they have to split their forces or split their concentration. Um, Avoid knee-jerk reactions. I think this one's very common. It's more apparent on the larger maps where an enemy is so honed in on something, a beacon, or an area where it's usually a contestant area or some area that should belong to us, like it's one of our beacons. And the knee jerk reaction is we end up having 4 or 5 guys all go that way. And what happens is we lose control. We get clumped up. We get clumped up bad, and we're not spread out evenly. We're not holding area in an organized manner, and our formation falls apart. So that's what that means. And lastly, it's just assist one another. And this is just more so than just pairing up. This means like focus firing on the same target. This is good. If you see this guy over there, a Tempest, shooting at something, shoot at the same thing because it kills the target faster and it's one less enemy in the area to deal with. Alternate abilities. It's just can't say enough about like if you got an Ares or Mender alternating heals and the shield, and just tanking for another. If my shield's charged up on the bulwark, I'll step in front of a Fury or something, or Ares to shield them while they're getting ready or backing up or healing up. So it's all about the little things, and these are some of the little things that will make us better, in my opinion, that I'm seeing that we could work on. So for the maps, I was originally going to talk about more, but I'm going to try to reduce it down to 4, is that we're having problems on more often is Dreadnaught, Springfield, Rome, just a revisit on Rome and a revisit on Moon, just to cover those strats again a little bit. So I want to start off with the more pressing stuff, so if you get bored by the end of the video, at least you saw the important stuff. And yeah, it is longer videos, so you can watch it in spurts by maps or while you're commuting or something, but I do think if you just watch everything real time and not sped up, it will help everyone in a certain extent. These are all maps and mentality that we have talked about with some of the key strategists and key officers and stuff that some people already know already, but we're just trying to all get on the same page with everyone that may not understand what we're doing as much. So this is our spawn, and this is Dreadnaught. SP for spawn, this is Dread, and this is mainly mainly talking about domination, okay? But Beacon Rush is very similar. On this map, in the past, we got all, broken down, but the main 2 beacons, the top priority map goal on this map is to hold center beacon C right here and lone beacon D. These 3 are called trip beacons, okay? So, a typical start is maybe 4 inside or 3 inside, and then we got to send 2 or 3 outside. So right now I'm drawing 3 inside and 3 outside. Now the whole point is, and I'm going to change colors here just to make it a little bit easier. The whole point is we want to dominate the center area. This is one of the main reasons. And the reason this beacon is so important is because this beacon looks into center like a cave. So it's hard to hold center if we don't have lone beacon. And lone beacon, if that's under our control, it gives us access to go up the roof, and we need to scale the roof more often. I'm trying to do it more these days. It is harder because we all have light HP bots. You know, gone are the days where I could run up there with my Bogasari Scourge or Bogasari shock trains. We got Specters, we got, you know, Ares is a light HP when its shield not up. You know, a lot of bots that can get taken, but the more you commit to it, the better. Because, let's use another color. Because one, you give cover, you know, it's like a sniper position into center. That's one thing. And two, there's no real cover on this side. So if you can get all the way up here, not only can you choose where you want to peek, you can also peek into spawn if, you know, we push them that far. So, you know, that's one of the big reasons we want C and D beacon. So, just remember that that's kind of like what we're going for. Now, let me see if I can erase all very quick. Okay, so another want to not make it as messy so it's more clear. Another reason we hold center C, this area here, is because the battle line in this map is, in my opinion, right here, if you're outside, and this whole stretch right here. That's the battle line you want. Now, the knee-jerk reaction that I'm talking about is if we have Hellburners, say the enemy pushes up. We want to give the enemy the trip beacon side. If they do that, then they're playing into our game, because the whole point of them coming all the way to spawn, one, this is a long walk. Two, there's no tactical advantage there. We're getting the tactical advantage because one, C is in the center and it's tied to all the beacons and it has cover. D provides you access to the roof. So if they come here, great, they get the beacons, but don't forget this is domination. So if we do scale the roof, or if you're in the center, we can just pound at them using cover and we get ahead on the mech out. Now, one of the biggest problems that we have at the very beginning that we need to clean up, we need to clean up the gaps in center when we leave gaps. So the problem is if they come all the way over here, okay, that's okay. I'm okay with giving that because we can go down to 3. But the Hellburners, we have knee-jerk reactions because when we see all of these as red, what happens is we have maybe 4 guys like, all right, I'm going to be the guy and take the lead on this. We've got 3 or 4 guys that spill out over here and grab this, and we leave a huge gap in the center that leaves probably Tesla or whoever's on roof by himself and maybe one other guy here. So the discipline thing we got to do, and let me erase this very quick just to make it easier to read, is when we do, let's just say everything goes our way and we do get center and we do get D beacon. So what happens is the two guys that rush center, they can spill out. We shouldn't send any more than 2 guys out here. Everyone else should stay here. The Hellburners are the one that should push out because they've got the speed. Their HP is going. They should be the ones that should be. They grab this beacon. All right. Now, if someone wants to run back, sure, but I don't think it's necessary because when the Hellburners die, they can spawn back and grab this at their own leisure. But all the same time, we have roughly 4 guys on the roof or in center holding our area. Like, we got to hold this battle line, and not have this knee-jerk reaction where 4 guys are on this side, and then that just invites everyone that we just killed right back into spawn from their spawn, or right into center from their spawn. So that's what happens. So we got to have a little bit more discipline, holding the battle lines, getting on the roof, and And that's part of our strat is a 3-3 or 4-2 split on center. Now, if we do have more go outside at the very beginning, I failed to mention this earlier, we have 2 guys rush center and then 4 guys go this way. That's fine because this once you hit this corner, we can read how many enemies are committing here. Maybe they don't commit that much. That's fine because then 2 guys can kind of scale the roof and go right back down or support the 2 guys here and converge on C. It's a really quick detour. It's not that bad. And then we can say like, all right, Tess or Will or me or whoever's going that way, they can handle it. It's just themselves or 2 of them go over here to challenge that one guy. So in summary, we want to hold these 2 beacons. We want to hold this area and maintain the battle lines of this area here and this area here, and not get caught up of everyone diving out here. And we can grab this beacon whenever someone respawns and fights them. And yes, to Sand's point, you might get shot at by whoever's standing here. That's a small casualty of, that's a small minor setback. I think that's fine because whenever they die, they spawn all the way back here and all their work was for naught. They gain nothing tactical. They gain no advantage. They just wasted a bunch of time. A small beacon bar advantage, in my opinion. And we spawn so close, we take it right back, and then we get right back into it and hold center. So we got to maintain center. Now, there are times when, we get a tough enemy, and they're going to recognize the same exact thing as us. So it's a battle of who can push and pull better and who can hold center better. And a big part of that is winning lone beacon and winning roof. And so whenever we have Band of Brothers, you'll see a big emphasis of them trying to get roof or getting center. The best way to fight them, in my opinion, is gain roof, start pounding on them early, and get ahead on the mech out, because when they start running low on bots, their options become limited, and we have the luxury of being more aggressive towards the end of the game. But what happens is people aren't aggressive enough, or we do these things where we have these knee-jerk reactions where we run out here or something and we put ourselves in a hole or not that much luxury with beacons, and we really can't do what we want to do on this map. So that's pretty much this map in a quick summary. Hopefully it was clear and hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. So 4-2, 3-2 split on C and D. Own the roof and hold this area. And if you see a teammate or 2 already pushing out here at the beginning, then tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to stay in center. Even if you're a Hellburner, stay in center and kill all the enemies in this area so you buy time for your teammates to walk back or something of the sort. So hopefully this will put us on a better page on Dreadnaught and people will understand where a majority of the mentality is and what we need to do. To Rep's comment earlier, yes, the flank is important, but it's not as important as the center and what the tactical advantage of center and lone beacon give us. And yes, we should go get the flank beacons, but not at the cost of 3 or 4 men, 1 or 2 when there's an opening for it. And all the other times you should be focused on gaining tactical advantage ground, center or roof, and focusing on the mech out and making them waste time walking all this distance from spawn while we don't have to walk at all and just hold our ground, and we're more efficient per second holding area. So yeah, it was a long one on this one, but I feel like it was needed to be said. So all right. Okay. Discard. So now I'm going to move on to another map we have trouble with, and that is, well, not a lot of trouble, but we do have some difficulties, and that is this guy, Springfield. So let me shrink this because oops, sorry about that. Oh man, okay, 1 second. Okay, so on Springfield, I think the biggest thing is a little bit laziness and also a little bit of understanding when we need to reinforce, and also lopsidedness. It's this spawn mainly over here that is the biggest problem in my opinion. It's the farther spawn from D beacon, D center beacon, and sometimes what happens is, if we send 5 guys this way, that leaves no one on platform. So if that happens, these 5 guys need to recognize that you need to bulldoze through D and get through C, because we'll get A back eventually because we spawn right there. But I think the biggest problem on when we spawn that way is that we should have more of an even split and try to see who's running across. I think 3 or matching whatever the enemy sends is always a good route, but send 3 or 4. I think that's a good number. I like to be the guy that kind of stays up here if I got someone with me. And once we give some time for them to kind of run across as well, what I'll do is I'll push up here with someone else, and usually it's some kind of ranged build trying to wail on our guys. So it's kind of like we're doing a two-prong effort on B and D beacon and pushing together. Now, this isn't really a strat thing, but more of a technique thing. It's just that when you see 2 guys here and they've been fighting it off for a while, this is a stretch to walk across. So please just continue to reinforce. Like if you see 2 guys and you see like it's Sandman and let's just say Will or someone like that, they only can last here so long, especially if enemies been coming. So, please don't be too greedy on damage or something and come here and help fill the gap, a little bit. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad move either, but we should just be mindful of how long the guys have been here and if they need relief, because we want to be constantly sending relief this way so they have reinforcements. So that's kind of like the initial mentality. Now, another mentality on this map is, let's just say we have this spawn right here and in this trough area, and the enemy has all 3 of these beacons. We didn't get our platform pushed. So it's a little bit of push and pull, right? A typical setup when we spawn here, we should always be a balanced attack because we want to make the enemy split up. So 3 guys here and 3 guys here, right? Something like that. We're going this way. Now, the initial battle line will be right around here. And if you do have an Ares or a mid-range build, a common thing is you play with distance. So this is more of a advanced strat. And 2 people should do this together. Or maybe 1 if you have enough of a range build, but just start walking up here. Not only do you get a nice angle, these guys here have to start respecting you. So if you've got an Ares and you're just kiting back and forth, with your range, it gives these guys can get up here and you guys can do a 2-prong attack on center, like if these 2 guys go here. Or you have 2 guys that have range, then both of you walk up here with the intention of not capping center, but just being a pain in the butt with these angles. And then maybe it caused these guys to kind of like, oh crap, we got to go address them, and frees up these guys to be able to push a little bit. So that's the mentality of the push and pull. We're kind of like a counterbalance where one side we have to push on 2 fronts at the same time in order to free up the other side. Now, if the stronger team, if we have stronger players on platform, that's fine. We all recognize that some people are better than others. Then the guys at platform, you guys get up here, get behind these walls. I'll try to do this. I love getting behind this big hexagonal wall. And, you create loads of pressure where if you draw 4 guys here, that means the disadvantage is on this side. These guys here have to recognize and push. Now the question is, oh man, we've got a Fury and a Bulwark. It really can't push. That's fine. Then push the battle line at the very least. Get up to this point so at least you can start wailing on anyone that's trying to come into center and just enforce the mech out. We got to have that hardcore mentality where they're, when you ever watch their YouTube, they're always like, oh, they're meching out, because that's what they think about a lot. Now that shouldn't be the only thing we think about, but we should definitely start thinking, I want to enforce the mech out. It's not just all about the beacon bar. We're a great beacon bar manipulator clan. I get that compliment a lot from a lot of other clans, and it's great because we really are good at it. But we have to be a little bit more mindful of like, we got to push them and get ahead on the mech out, so when they start running out of people, the beacons will be in our favor. So that's kind of like the mentality that we have to have. So understanding when you have to push here or here If you're on this side and you see this side pushing, then move up. Even if you're in range build, just move up to where your range is in your favor. Don't sit back and farm because it's not really helping anyone. And get these really uncomfortable angles. So if someone spawns and they're in a Mercury, they're like, here, it's like, oh, right, I already have my cover set up. That might make it easier on me to jump into center, you know, or something. Or if you do get up here and you're like a 500-meter Avenger Mercury, at least you might be able to pop any of these guys here to help this guy. You know, it's a support system kind of thing. So the more you guys recognize that, the better we'll be able to hold this map better. 3-3 split, and the big thing to Sand's comment is we got to continue reinforcing center when we have a platform spawn, because you can't see two guys and think they'll hold it forever, so we have to continue sending support. All right, so hopefully that will help understand this map a little better. I think, let me just touch on it since we're going into more detail on this map. If we have this side and, you know, we got 3 guys here, 3 guys here, and they're doing a really good job, say, pressuring center, then these guys here need to either push up so you can take the load off, or, you know, fire as you're pushing up. So it's push and pull again, take some pressure off, you know, while these guys are getting pounded and, you know, you guys are pushing here. Or if these guys are getting pounded into our spawn and it's the reverse, what do you do? You know, like what someone was saying earlier, what do you do if you're on the other side of the map? It's, even if you're by yourself, go all the way to farm if these guys are getting pushed by the enemy. You know, like, just run out here. It's going to draw at least 1 or 2 guys, be like, hey, that's ours. We can't let them just take that. And now free up the numbers here. You know, it's the mentality. You got to recognize when to deliver this blow and also when to just do it just to help these guys out, you know? So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a better understanding on Springfield and how to set up. And when you're in, I guess the biggest thing is when it's a close contested match, you have to, and you're in a ranged build, you have to continue trying to figure out a way to enforce the battle lines. Whatever side you're on. If we're on this side, try to walk over here. The more annoying you are, getting angles here and getting closer to farm. You know, if we're on this side, same thing. You can walk up here and getting into spawn. If you're in platform, if we got guys up here, then continue moving up and try to get some better angles on center. Don't just be content with sitting back here. We want to push the avenues and get better angles. All right. All right. So I think that's Springfield in a quick summary. What was on the list? Then we have a quick Moon and Rome revisit. Okay. So Rome, very quick. I think a lot of people already recognize what we are doing on Rome. However, I think it's just good to have it on record, and also just good to say it out loud once more clearly. It's definitely evolved since Volume 1 video, so anyone watching Volume 1, it's been a little bit more up to date. So if our spawn is here, our priority on this map is city. You'll always hear me in game saying we gotta control city. So, you know, we have a 3-person, you know, rushing this way. We grab A on the way and going on our way to D. And then, you know, sometimes 1 or 2 guys can run straight and either tail off to C or tail off to D, or even make a last minute call to tail off to B if they feel like no one's going that way and one of them wants to sneak it. But the majority of our attack should be a 4-2 split or 5-1 split on D and C beacon. All right. Now let me visually show why this is important. And, you know, I know not everyone is an audio understander, so they need to see something drawn up. The reason we want D beacon so much, the city beacon, and we called that B beacon down here farm beacon or windmill, because there's these like windmill turbines. The reason we want D beacon is it gives you so much cover. It has access in close enough area to protect or watch A beacon, attack C beacon with different angles and different kinds of cover, and also get all the way to the end and attack the enemy E beacon. That's 4 beacons with this whole huge territory. And if you look at B beacon, there's no tactical advantage really, and it's so far from these other beacons here. And the only beacon it can get close to is C, and it doesn't really offer you many different kinds of angles to be covered and attack C. You can get hit very easily from spawn if we got some range guys going. So two things that really, that I think just like Springfield, we got to work on is when to relieve someone, when to back someone up and offer assistance. Because if you see, me or San or, whoever else, OG that's always here protecting it, rep, and there's two guys and they've been taking on an onslaught of assaults, you've got to come back. Even if you're all the way over here, you got to say, all right, I got to go back and give them some backup and pass the beacon. You're switching off, because they're about to die and go back to spawn, and we don't want to leave those gaps. Same with Dreadnaught, same with Springfield. We don't want to leave gaps. It should be a continuous handing off of the beacon of a marathon, and people just need to recognize that a little better so we can be more consistent about it. So that's my biggest thing. Now, I'm not saying you never have to come to B, but just like Dreadnaught, where I was talking about the trip beacon side, we don't need 4 guys on this side. Maybe 2 guys can pressure it. Say you have a Fury or Bulwark or something, a Shock Train or something, or even if most of the guys are on this side, like 4 or 5 guys are on, 4 guys are on this side, then yeah, if you respawn, it's like, hey, I'm gonna give B a shot, and then 2 guys can work on it to maybe get another beacon cap. But it shouldn't be. What happens is it gets stacked at some point, maybe with some kind of knee-jerk reaction, and we forget about holding the priority, what did I call it, the priority map goal, which is D beacon. I mean, this map is, so it should have a constant flow. 1 or 2 guys can spill out a range build. Mid-range is a good time to go, or if you recognize that we have too many guys, maybe 1 or 2 spill out here. So that's Rome in a quick summary, and I think it really, we've been doing this map a lot better than we used to, so I'm not too concerned, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there. Last map I want to cover is just Moon Map, and I think we do a decent job on Moon Map than we used to. Man, it used to be ugly, so it's come a long way, but I have seen things slip, and it is easy to slip when you play randoms and after randoms, and it gets kind of, you kind of like lose focus, or you get too relaxed. So I just want to remind people, what the main priority map goal is on this map. That's the way I'm calling it, at least. And the main priority map goal is, if this is our spawn here, all right, and all of these maps I've been talking about, our strats are mainly domination. So just FYI, the main map goal on this is we want to own the beacons we should own, and that way we're able to push C beacon and get what we have. These 3 are our main goals. Okay, now I have no problem with people adjusting to a decision they want to make. That's fine. Many times I'll see someone trying something out, or if they need to switch it up, that's fine. But the rest of us need to have at least 2 or 3 guys continually doing the priority goal. And so I'm typically trying to do it. So like, if someone spawns really fat here, or they've been having success doing it on other maps and they want to rush this, that's fine. We see less and less shock trains these days, so it's not as a big problem. But that doesn't mean all of us rush it, because this is so far and it's easy to take back. We want to make sure we get what we have and challenge C. So I just wanted to cover that these are our main goals. We want to try to hold it, and when 1 or 2 guys, maybe 2, want to spill off somewhere else and start jumping over, that's perfectly fine. I think you should always play to your bot's advantage. So, whenever you have a Mercury or Inquisitor or Spectre, it's not a bad idea to go up here, because if you try to go under tunnel, you're limited by however you can jump, how high you can jump, and so you know, whenever sometimes I have my Mercury, I'll try to, if this is under control and I see one or two guys here, I might go over here so I can make better use of my jump, so I can maybe jump over, or you know, just jump up and down and fire, or even jump over here and assault. So just things to think about. And you know, we just got to watch out for those hellburners. And on domination, we usually do a pretty good job. So just remember the hellburners, it's okay if they get the beacon. Back up, what is it, 85 meters, 85 to 100 meters. Just kite them, especially if you're in a pursuer or strider or any fast bot, and kill them and then take the beacon back. No need to get into their explosion and waste some of your precious HP, you know, just fighting for a beacon that has no you know, importance right off the bat in domination, if you're, especially if you're in the same territory. So just remember that. And on beacon rush it's different, but we're just talking domination right now. So I think that's most of the maps I wanted to talk about. Just remember, knee-jerk reactions are one of the biggest things that leave us with these big gaping holes. And I think a good example on this map, it happens on any map really, but if, say this beacon is threatening here, right? And say they got three guys here and it's red, and we're all the way back on a beacon only. We only have one beacon and they have four beacons. We can't have the whole team go B. You kind of have to gauge what's happening. So if three guys are here already, then you know, and we need beacons, you know, one guy maybe push here, or one guy say, I gotta trust my teammates doing this, you know, fighting this off and getting it back, and I need to go over here and offset it quick before things get out of hand, you know. So we gotta understand when that happens, when those reactions happen. But another thing we got to really understand also is when we don't have enough. The flip side of that argument is if they have three guys going here or in this area already, and this is red, and there's only one guy here, there's no reason to make this savvy move, you know, if, especially if they have other guys in this area, when we got to fight back what should be belong to us. Now if someone's already, you know, on their way, then that's fine, then you might be able to make that move so we free it up. But this is all decision making and understanding that what is happening. And the longer, the less on any domination map, the less we have to spend time walking from spawn when outside of the first rush spot, the better that we have of being efficient, where we are holding area, alternating abilities, staying alive longer in the field, and doing damage instead of wasting time walking. So just keep that in mind. So in summary, you know, let me just pull up that thing I wrote on Word very quick. Just remember, there's map goals. You know, we got, you know, we should hold what's ours. We attack the contested beacon. On Dreadnaught, we want center and roof. On Rome, we want city. On what else? On Moon Map, we want our beacons and center. You know, those are the priority map goals. We want to push the battle lines. Don't sit in the back. I talked about it more on Springfield map walkthrough again. We want to, if you're in a range or mid-range, that's kind of like a methodical attack, like a shock train or a dragoon or flux. Nothing wrong with moving up when the line's moving up. You don't have to move up with the tension of capping, but the move up of creating bad angles and hard, you know, hard for the enemy to push any further, and maintaining that battle line for backup to come up, you know, come back up. And then team up in pairs or more. Remember, pairs is probably enough. Once you see one guy with you, go attack an area, because you're not doing it solo and you're working on it. And if there's a third person tailing behind, they can catch up to you two taking the lead. Knee-jerk reactions, definitely want to avoid those, and attacking elsewhere to stretch out the defense. You know, we don't want to all clump up in one area from the knee-jerk reaction. That happens a lot, especially on Dreadnaught, especially on Springfield, and we got to do better. And that's how those clans like Band of Brothers are doing a number on us on more of our squads, because we're not doing the basic requirements, the basic spread outs well, and we're getting caught up running and playing their game, running around, you know, instead of them playing our game and addressing to us dictating the pace. So just remember those things, and hopefully this will give you a better idea on some of the map goals and consistency as well as what we're doing on some of those maps we've been struggling with. Hopefully I'll be able to have time, but I definitely want to address two maps I didn't do today, which is Yama and Canyon. Not as pressing, but they both have the same things. We don't want to leave holes. We want to hold lines. We want to help send reinforcements to pass the baton when you know our guys are about to die holding an area. We got to recognize those things and not be selfish and play solo minded. So, all right, I hope this helped, and thanks for watching another our Maps and Strategy Volume 5. So, Jamathan out.